Roll call.
Good job.
Roll call.
Okay, here in the room we have Heather Powers, Eric Dixon, Adrian Beck, Chris Lounsbury, John Hart, Kyla Leonards, myself, Violet Plummer, and Commissioners Vero and Slotnick. And calling in over the phone, we have Martin Kidston and Shane Stack. Did I miss anybody? Okay.
Okay, is there any public comment on items not on the agenda? Not hearing or seeing any. We'll jump to action items. Shannon Terrio. Ooh.
I'm thinking that with the Teams outage, we
might be
missing some.
Should I call her?
We also are not able to record at the moment.
John, what should we do?
All we can do is the best we can do.
Okay. I mean, I'm not joking. I mean, should we just stop if there's not a recording? Okay. Okay.
Okay.
It's what it is. Oh, good. They solved yet another problem. We're recording now.
Do you want me to call Shannon Terrio? Just.
Yeah, you
Good
can
thing
call.
I'm not.
Either, yeah.
If you don't get her for whatever reason, I can give a quick overview.
Oh,
Oh.
there we go. Great.
There we go.
Great.
The-
Maybe we should
you
just
can-
do that.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah,
You got
please
it.
do.
So the City and County Animal Control Department contracts with local veterinarians to be able to provide medical care for low-income individuals as well as animals that are brought into the shelter. And this is a new contract with a provider to be able to participate in those programs and provide veterinary services to injured animals as well as their low-income clinic.
Have we used this provider before?
As I recall, this is a change in provider from our previous.
I mean, I'm wondering if some of these injured animals should just pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. Are we enabling injured animals? I'm concerned about that.
That's a cue for Slotnick. A reminder.
No, I think this is a great thing. I would move we do this.
Is there any public comment? All in favor? Aye.
Thanks, Chris, for more flexibility from our staff in these weird tech times.
No worries.
Okay, Heather, you're next for community council funding.
Good morning, commissioners and all. This should be pretty quick, I think. Basically, give you a summary of this at our last update with CAPS. So the request is that in order to bring our community council budgets back up to $1,000 flush to begin fiscal year 22, we have 3 councils that have a request for funding in that we recommend approving. East Missoula requests $541, Lolo $114, and Sealy Lake $94. That's just to bring them up flush for their operational budget for the year. In addition to that, we ask that the commission sign the operating agreements for the councils, all 7 councils, which should all be back in operation at some point during fiscal year 22.
Great.
Great. So my only comment here is, even over the last crazy COVID year, I think we've had great interaction and seen wonderful activity out of the community councils that have been asking for money. They've been really active, attending meetings, having wonderful discussions. Really believe that our community council program in general is not just successful, but super necessary.
Yeah, they've put in great efforts to keep
Yeah.
operating and keep the communities going during this past year
Absolutely.
and onwards. So, yeah.
Well, there have been some internet issues with
Some challenges.
Swan and West Valley, or sorry, Evero.
Partially, Evero we had.
Evero's been dormant.
They've been dormant because they were below quorum. So there's been another member recruited, so they'll be able to be functional
But
again.
Great.
the Sealy, the West Valley, and East Missoula, and Lolo all been really active.
Yeah, West Valley a little less because of the technical component, and they lost their meeting space in the fire hall, which is where they've been meeting. But right now, volunteers are being housed there. They're going to be in the middle school now.
Great.
Junior high.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, starting September, I believe.
Great.
they had some internet issues, just the way that the terrain was.
They do.
as well.
Frenchtown does not have high-speed broadband access. As close as they are to us, it's really spotty. And then up in Swan Valley, there's been a lot of technical issues as far as trying to just, have any sort of remote meeting. So I'm not sure what the status is up there. We're still trying to reach out and see how they're doing. That one's a little more unknown. They don't have the access as easily to the technology and the broadband. So, but
Someday, hopefully.
yeah, operating budgets now include things like Zoom subscriptions. So
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And they can still call in by phone, right? Because that's.
They could. I think the challenge is just getting them coordinated and on board and find something that works for everybody. It's a bit of a challenge, but we'll see what we can pull off in this coming year.
Great. All right, I would move that the board approve community council funding and operations for FY22.
Any public comment? Not hearing any. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so this is
There'll be a momentary echo.
Adrian.
So commissioners, just a quick correction on item number 1. This was a renewal of a contract with a provider.
Okay,
I was mistaken.
okay.
She actually got the last contract as well.
Okay.
Thanks.
And I was so looking forward to the low-tech option. Here's the tech has caught up.
Dang.
Okay, so what you have before you today is a lease agreement with Sterling Commercial Management LLC. This is the property management company that manages the site that the health department's been using for a testing location out at Flynn Lane. And so this is an amendment to the existing lease to extend the terms to the end of the calendar year to end of December 31st, 2021. While we all wish that we had a crystal ball as to when that site would no longer be necessary, I think at this point in time, in consultation with the health department, it does make sense to extend that lease to the end of the year.
Yeah. Did the terms change at all? The cost change?
No, the cost is $9,275 a month, and that's for roughly 10,000 square feet of space.
And they didn't up the rate with an increase in time. It's nice.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Adrian. All right. I would request the board approve the amendment to the lease agreement with Sterling Commercial Management.
Any public comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Dixon?
Eric, are you going to do all of Shane's too, given that you're here, or Shane?
Shane.
Oh, Shane's here. Great.
Like Teams is working, so
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
I think.
Okay.
So this is an amendment for some additional work that we needed to have done with our FY21 chip seal project. This is the work that was for the millings projects that we did in Condon last year. Our project ran so far behind that we couldn't get the chip seals done. So Riverside Contracting carried their contract over to this calendar year. For some reason, I can't explain why, we didn't have chips at a stockpile location near Holland Lake where we said we would. I think there's a little mix up with our contractor because we bought the chips from LHC that had been doing the work for MDT on Highway 83. And when we bought those chips, I think they took them all to Seeley Lake where our major stockpile was. And we overlooked leaving a couple hundred tons in Condon for the work on Holland. So we didn't have a way to haul those on the day that Riverside was there to do the work. So they agreed to haul from Seeley up to Holland. And this amendment is to pay for the work that they did at the time. So we would recommend that it be executed.
Should we ignore that?
There you go. Yeah, I think we should pay for the work that's already been done.
The work's done. I haven't been up there to look at it, but I know they did Bear Creek at the same time on a separate contract, but all the work looks great. I don't know if you.
Oh, good to hear. Oh, I haven't.
By Potomac. Okay.
Oh, that, okay.
Yeah, so we had 2 contracts with Riverside. This is the last fiscal year. We have a current one, and they were all in the same area. So they had overlapping contracts in the same area. So trying to keep which roads were on which contract was not much of an issue, but they did them all at the same time.
Got it.
Great. I bet that made the Bear Creek residents happy.
Yes, it looks
It
good.
looks awesome. I haven't been out on it, but
That road has been rough for a while. All right, I would request the board approve amendment number 2 to the FY21 PSA with Riverside Contracting.
any public comment? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thanks.
Thanks, Eric. Hey, can I ask you another question outside of this?
Of course.
Just when I started this job was like 27 years ago. It's just there was a lot of controversy about that Bear Creek Road and residents who are on either side of a chunk of private road. And it seemed like a resolution might happen, but it really was most dependent on neighbors talking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Did that ever get resolved or what?
It's been pretty quiet for a while. I don't know if Shane has heard anything.
Smiling.
I didn't know if he was frozen, but.
I mean, I know that we had that this is going to go quickly, so it's.
Yeah, so I would defer to Shane if he's heard anything recently.
Anything changed?
No, I haven't heard anything, Josh.
Oh, you're muted. Or our technology isn't listening.
Oh, can you hear me?
Doesn't show him as muted, but.
It could be.
I'm not muted. Gosh, how about like
there we go. We missed all the first part.
Okay, so you can hear me okay?
Yep, now we can. We just now started to.
Yeah, Josh, no, nothing's changed really. I know we had conversations about some different routes for, right-of-ways and maybe avoiding that particular location. But yeah, nothing's changed formally in that area.
All right. Thanks. But maybe it's quieted down. I mean, there was a time when we were hearing a lot from neighbors and they haven't heard anything. So maybe they've come to some informal agreement or it's just sort of a détente.
I think it maybe depends on how bad the winter is and what condition the gravel portion is through the spring.
Yeah.
It seems like that's when it really picks up again and people start complaining about road conditions, and then we tell them we don't have a lot of room to work, and then it comes up again. So I don't know if that was a factor this year.
Yeah, this is John Hart. I spent a lot of time on this issue probably in 2016, maybe going into 2017, and there's been no news. And from my perspective, no news is good news.
Okay, great. We will let that sleeping dog stay asleep. Thanks, Shane.
Contract?
Yeah, so I think I'm up next.
Yep.
So we're going to, this is to complete a contract amendment with DJ&A for the build project, and it's just allows them to provide services really related to construction services and inspection for some work that's going to happen more on the private side, but on roads like George Elmer and Mary Jane. So they'll be out coordinating dry utility locations or relocations. So those are things like sewer and or not sewer, but gas and fiber and power and phone. So all those things have to be relocated in certain locations to allow for construction when the build project does start. There's some on-site project inspection support just related to the work that's going to be done by private. There's some material testing that we'll have to go through. So these are this is work that we would typically have under a regular construction contract, but because we don't have DJ&A under a formal construction contract yet, this is just an amendment to allow them to continue to do some of the work they're doing, but also dig into more of these construction related efforts.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I should state the cost too. It's the amendment's $113,443.
Yeah, I'm really glad we're moving forward with build even in the midst of all of this another mess. I would move that the board approve the contract amendment with DJ&A.
Any public comment?
Martin has his hand up.
Oh, I can't see it.
Yeah, just real quick, Shane, is that still on track? The project in general for next spring, is that still the timeline you're looking at?
Yeah, Martin, that's the timeline we're on track for right now. And you know, really the only the controlling factor in all of that is what we end up with additional funding for budget and for for the remainder of that work, as well as what bid prices do we get, or what's the GMP or guaranteed maximum price from Kiewit. So if those numbers all align, we'll stay on schedule.
Thanks.
I think I made the motion. Yeah.
Okay, any further public comment? I can't see. There's a Violet, you're controlling that. I can't. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
Oh, Shane again.
Yeah, he's got two.
Sorry.
Yeah, so this is pretty brief. MDT has offered up 12,000, a little over 12,000 yards of millings next summer from the Bonner Interchange East project. So our plan is to have those delivered to the new property that was purchased for Public Works out on Pulp Mill Road. So we would stockpile those millings there, and if we need to, we can either run them through our crusher or just use them as is. But it's a short haul from there to Dayshaw. And one of the things we're considering is using those on Dayshaw to essentially build a base out there and kind of start on the south end of Dayshaw and work our way north to the hill. So it's kind of the plan for next summer. This agreement just provides MDT to allow them to place millings in our pit site.
And 12,000 yards is a lot, given what you showed me the other day, what 4,000 yards would do. 12,000 yards is a lot, and it's a great use of what otherwise would be a waste material and really improves the quality of a otherwise beat up dirt road.
Is that your motion?
Yeah, let's do this. It's a good thing.
Any public comment? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Thanks, Shane.
Though Shane, do you need Dave to sign this?
Sorry, yeah, I'm assuming Dave's not around. I think either one of you could probably sign in his absence.
You can sign it, Juan, as the acting chair.
Okay, great.
John saying yes.
Kyla. Thanks, Shane.
Okay, I'm here for the Sealy Lake Community Council. We have a vacant seat as of May 31st, 2021. We had 2 applicants, John Richards and Gary Swain, and it's to fill the remainder of the vacant term through May 31st, 2024.
Great.
Yeah, I'm just ready to, I can.
Go ahead.
I would move that we put Gary Swain on the Sealy Lake Community Council.
Yeah, I appreciated his, I think, experience and his commitment to organizational leadership and development. I think would be really useful for the board.
His experience around leadership and bridging otherwise unbridgeable gaps between people was really impressive.
So any public comment? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Thanks.
Correspondence. Discussion items.
Adrian,
Still have Adrian.
Adrian, I hear the West is burning.
Okay.
So things in Missoula County as far as wildfires are still pretty status quo. Obviously, we're inundated with other people's smoke, and some of that is very close to us. I think conditions are the rain that we received here in the last 72 hours kind of put a damper on things, but it certainly is not something that should allow people to think that it had any kind of measurable effect on our wildfire situation. We're actually under a red flag warning for today, meaning that we're going to have very low relative humidities and the winds are going to start to pick up. So critical fire day, any new starts will be hard to control. Any existing fires will likely get much bigger.
Who sets that red flag?
So it's the National Weather Service issues those warnings similar to how they issue other weather type of warnings, and it's based on several conditions that go into determining that it's a critical fire day. Mostly, though, it's a drop in relative humidity and increasing wind. So in kind of just going around the county, we still have the Granite Complex fire, which is a complex of 3 fires burning on the Idaho and Montana border at the top of Highway 12. That's largely looking pretty good. What is kind of the flavor of the season with very limited resources and kind of a strain on the national system for incident management teams. We're seeing a lot of fires that are being complexed together. And so the Granite Complex fire is not only a complex of 3 fires being managed by one team, but it is also a complex of a complex. And so there's a type 1 incident management team who also has the complex of fires that is up near Thompson Falls, the Thorn fire being the biggest one of those. And so that team is managing both the Granite Complex fire and the Thorn Complex. They have their team kind of divided. They have an incident command post near Woodman School up Highway 12, and then their other incident command post is up in Plains. We're in pretty routine communication with that team. Their operations folks and the sheriff's department are kind of tied at the hip as far as any new evacuation status changes. We do have an evacuation warning that pretty much goes from mile marker 10 up to the Idaho border, so mile marker 0. It includes Lolo Hot Springs, Granite Hot Springs, and about a half a dozen homes. The what is part of the West Lolo Complex fire, which is where that Thorn fire is. The only fire in that area that was of concern to Missoula County was the Deep Lookout fire, and that looked like it had potential about 3 weeks ago to cross over the 9 Mile Divide. We did some pre-planning around evacuations in the upper 9 Mile area, but fortunately we never did have to initiate any kind of evacuation warnings or orders. That fire is looking very good. In fact, it's been turned back to the 9 Mile Ranger District and the Superior Ranger District, and they're doing mop-up. So feeling pretty good about that one. The Anderson Hill fire, which was largely in Powell and Granite County, right on the county line, up near Garnett Ghost Town, is in patrol status. So that is looking. What does that mean? Well, it means that they have good containment line around it, and that they've done mop up a significant distance in from those lines, and that they're just patrolling it to make sure that nothing goes haywire for the most part. And so right now, our big focus is on the next fire that starts and likely will be very rapidly moving and require a lot of initial attack resources to try to bring it under control. But the biggest concern that we have, obviously, in those situations is how do we ensure a safe evacuation of people should we need to do that. So that's really what we have kind of our laser focus on right now is any new starts that happen and how do we amass enough resources quickly to deal with that.
Is there an issue when you mentioned amassing resources that there are all these other fires across the West that federally it's spread thin, or do you feel like we're not quite there yet?
So locally, with all of our partners with DNRC, the tribe, and local fire resources and the U.S. Forest Service, they maintain a pretty robust initial attack force just for that purpose, and they don't commit them to these established fires. The established fires come into play in that they get these incident management teams, and then they try to get resources from the national system. The national system and resource availability right now is stretched very thin, and so what we're seeing is that a lot of these large complex fires or just large fires that are on the landscape are getting bigger and having a harder time to kind of bring them under control because of that resource shortage. But there always is a commitment, and the highest priority is initial attack. The last fire I'll mention that right now is not doing much, but it's something we're keeping a very close eye on, is the Crooks fire. This is a fire that is burning just almost due east of Arlee. It's in Missoula County. It's right on the Missoula Lake County line, and they have some road closures in that area. Not a huge impact as far as immediate structures threatened, but our focus will be, if that continues to move to the east, looking at Placid Lake, Seeley Lake, Jocko area.
Wow, that's a big deal.
We've seen a lot of fires up in that area. Most recently, the Liberty Fire.
Just the number of homes and people in the area you just mentioned.
Absolutely, yeah.
Large.
What was the resulting, not a wildfire, but the block fire in Sealy Lake, the town of Sealy Lake? Do we know how that got started or any information on that?
Oh, the structure fire? No, I don't have any additional information on that.
To do with any wildfire activity. That was just a structure fire. I don't mean to minimize it, but.
You know, I don't know. I don't know
It wasn't an
if
ember landing on a roof.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't an ember landing on a roof, but it could have, and I don't know, and I can find out for you. It could have started exterior of the structure and then, or interior of the structure. I'm not sure which.
Okay. Oh, why is the Blackfoot running red right now?
What?
I don't know.
Blackfoot's.
It's like red, orange.
I was trying to figure that out because I noticed it this morning. I think it's probably related to the damage up Monsieur Creek. There was some.
God, you know.
That was reported by the Missouri this morning.
Oh, okay.
I was heading over the Clark Fork on the Orange Street Bridge today, and I looked down and I was thinking, man, that thing looks bony. And then the other voice in my head said, and it looks kind of chocolate too.
Yeah, you know, in fact, I noticed that with the Clark Fork last night when I was driving over it, that I looked down and I thought, why is it so muddy? But I have no idea.
Because with widespread fire and pandemic, we don't have enough plagues. So we obviously need to ruin our rivers.
I didn't know Montour Creek was that. That's a lot of sediment then.
That is, if it's making it all the way to the
trail and maybe some of the road system up the Lodgepole Pine Path.
Oh.
So so John, what happened that?
Rain.
Yeah, they had a kind of a downburst of rain that then caused some mudslides.
Downburst of rain in an area that had previously been burned?
I'm not sure that's the culprit. A lot of that Lodgepole Pass country has burned, but it's been several years now. I think it was just a huge rain.
Okay.
And it blew out some trail sections on Monsieur Creek and possibly, I heard something about the campground on Monsieur Creek, which I don't know exactly where that is, had some damage sustained to it.
Wow.
But the suggestion in the Missoulian was that turned the Blackfoot brown, which then.
I literally saw some in the Clark Fork this morning. And you could see a strand of it and then a strand of the regular Clark Fork.
Yeah, the Clark Fork was clear last night and then.
It was just where it was running fast, it was clear and the slow.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
thanks for all that.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Events and invitations. There, Alzheimer's awareness walk.
Oh gosh, I didn't know about that.
Never mind. I don't have the details on that. Okay. No other business. We're adjourned.
Great, thank you all.